Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Donald Clark. It's good to be back. I'm an acupuncturist here at CMI Fertility Healing Arts. So, we've talked about quite a bit over the last few weeks, some of it rambling, some of it not rambling. I find it difficult to answer questions. And I think that's the hardest part for me is being able to talk about things as well as answer questions. So I wanted to just put it out there today that instead of going into great detail on some stuff, I wanted to answer questions that some of you might have. And some of you might not have any questions at all, and that's fine. I felt bad because I wanted to answer questions, and I haven't quite figured out how to go back and answer questions. I'm sure it's very simple, but yeah, I have yet to figure that one out. So if you have any questions or you've had questions over the last few weeks and I haven't gotten back to you, then I encourage you to ask those questions today. And I will let you know that I forgot my glasses, so I might squint a little bit. And I also have a pair of reading cheater glasses that I found, and I think they're women's glasses, so don't laugh or laugh, you know, but so you may see me with some women's glasses. And I hope everything's good. It's been a good week here. We've been very busy, as a lot of you know, and it's back to winter again a little bit. It's going to snow here in the Mid-Atlantic, upstate New York area again tonight, and I know it's getting awfully late into the season for snow, but we're hanging in there. And man, what a year for tulips! It's been beautiful. The flowers so far this spring have been 100% right on, and that's helped the spirit too. So I see some people signing on and asking questions, so I'm just going to get right to it. Now, if I don't answer your question, it's probably because I don't know the answer. And instead of hemming and hawing and trying to figure it out, I just won't answer it. And the questions that generally I won't answer are the questions specifically in regards to a fertility, IVF or IUI cycle properly. Anything in regards to Chinese medicine, you know, I'm pretty versed in. But as far as getting into medications and surgical procedures, I'll leave that up to some other folks to answer. And I'm trying to get some special guests on. It'll be fun, you know. Maybe we'll play a little music, and maybe we can drink some tea and have special guests. We'll call it coffee hour or something. And so I'm trying to get some folks in from the andrology lab and embryology lab, and as well as other parts of fertility. And they can answer your questions as well. So what I'll do is I'll start scrolling to the top, and if for some reason this thing cuts out, I apologize, but we'll try to take it from the top. So Christy, your question, I really can't answer that. That's definitely a much more complex question that someone in the lab or someone else is going to have to answer, but I won't be able to do that. But I'll get a special guest. I'm really trying to get special guests for you. So I'll try to leave names out too. Sorry about that. There's a question about follicular development at day 7 into the cycle, and whether you should be concerned about it. And really, no. It's day 7 is so early, and stimming is it's not a perfect science, right? So it varies from cycle to cycle. So if you're developing follicles, and a good number of follicles at day 7, you should be happy with that. And and worrying is, we can worry all day long about stuff, right? Worry about matching socks, worrying about our hearts, worrying about big things. And some things are really worth worrying about. Other things that are out of our control, they're just kind of out of our control. And there's time to worry, and worrying about it the whole time is, not good. So, try to stay calm and breathe, and just look at what you have. You have a good count at this point. So that's good. All right. So there's a surgical question that I could probably answer, but I'm not going to answer that. And so there's another question about when the Atlanta office may be doing transfers. I don't have that answer for you, but I can say that Dr. V has been working so hard, and she's been doing a lot of transfers here, and I know they're getting close. I know that, and close is a relative term, but I know that they are planning on it, and I know that they are coming up to speed very quickly, and they're very talented. And but I don't have a date for you. And like Dr. Kiltz likes to say, it'll probably be a Tuesday. So there is a couple of questions about thyroid. Again, that would be a question for a nurse. I really wish I had my nursing license. Um, Someday, maybe. Um, there's another question about acupuncture and pregnancy. And acupuncture during pregnancy, usually what we do, we see patients or see women right through their first trimester. So right through from week 1 right through week 12 or 14. And after their first trimester, though, I generally release them to massage therapists to help with their body as the hips open up, and the body starts to change. And massage therapists are very good at keeping everything loose and letting everything open up as it needs to. Um, However, we do have plenty of women that have acupuncture right through week 40, right through their third trimester. And what it does is it helps keep them calm. So it helps keep um, you calm, keeps the women calm. But keeping you calm keeps the baby calm, right? So you have I don't really ever think there's been a specific study on this, but I believe everything I've been taught is that you get a baby that develops a little better, right? If it's calmer, and so it keeps the baby calm and it keeps you calm. And as you go into your third trimester, if situations arise such as breech baby, uh, we can help turn a baby. It takes a little while, but we can help turn it. And going back to first trimester, acupuncture is really great at calming um, a nervous belly or morning sickness. So for women that have morning sickness, it helps calm the belly, calm the nerves. And later in the pregnancy, we can help turn babies. We can also, at 38 or 39 and a half, 40 weeks, 41, we can help induce labor. So if you don't want to be induced, or you're trying not to be induced um, with medication, we can, as acupuncturists, help and induce as well. So that's how acupuncture would help throughout the pregnancy. Sorry, I just skipped ahead here. So there's a question on nausea. So it's called morning sickness, but it can happen 24 hours a day, right? So some of the recommendations for nausea, um, generally speaking, if it's mild nausea and it's not really affecting your life too much, but you feel that it's a discomfort and it's an annoyance, we're not too worried about it. So, but if it's preventing you from eating and you're losing weight, that's not good. So then we really, really will address that quite rapidly. So if you're having issues with not eating and you're losing weight, then definitely consult your local acupuncturist or give us a call and we can walk you through it. Some of the recommendations for nausea are the old standbys, saltines, right? And also, I'm a big fan of peaches. So peaches have a lot of sugars and a lot of carbs. So if you can't swallow a peach, you can suck on it for a little while and then spit it out. But you'll get all those sugars and all those carbs, and that'll help out a lot. And that can sometimes calm your nausea too. So saltines, nausea, and acupuncture. There's some great acupuncture points for nausea, and you can also, you can get wristbands at a local Kinney's or a pharmacy that sometimes have magnets in them that sometimes you can put on your wrists that will help, and they they fit right on the acupuncture point, and that can help with nausea. I do encourage you though, if it's a little annoyance, it should go away in a couple weeks, hopefully. And but if it's a problem, consult an acupuncturist or give me a call or email me, and we'll work you through that. And there's some more questions about adoption and age-related that I really can't answer. I mean, I could talk all day about it, but I don't know. It's better to have somebody who's a little bit more versed in it than I. So there's a question on transfer prep diets, and I mean, if you're around here, we strongly recommend a keto diet, and high fat is good for this whole process. If you're not keto and you want a prep diet, what I recommend is, I don't know if you're talking about the day before the transfer or the week before the transfer or just throughout the getting ready for the transfer, but I always encourage people, eat regularly, eat normally what you're normally eating, unless it's bad, right? So if you're eating a lot of empty calories and carbs and sugars, Taco Bell, empty calories, donuts, then don't eat like that. But I encourage you just to eat normally, eat regularly, like how you have been eating. And on the day of your transfer, the night before, or the morning of, I do encourage you to eat a little bit in the morning, right? So that you're not crashing out at midday. And we want to keep your chi strong. Maybe don't eat heavy, right? Because you're going to be kind of cooped up all day with the transfer. Um, but remember, you need to have a full bladder, so drink lots of water. And there's a couple questions about medications that I really wouldn't know the answer to, but I'm going to try really hard to get some special guests on to answer these questions, and wish me luck and give me some advice. I walked around with candy the other day, and I was like, "Hey, who wants some candy?" And nobody wanted it, so I can't get anybody to come on, but I'll get somebody to come on. That's actually a good question about quarantining, coming to New York, and I'm not sure. I do know that today is the last day of a lot of restrictions. So starting tomorrow, um, there's some there is going to be some restrictions that are being lifted, and I'm not sure how quarantining is right now because it changes so quickly and so much. And I don't know what the list is. That's a good question. Obviously, you should find out before you travel. But if I had to guess, um, I don't think there's restrictions on quarantining right now. Um, unless you're coming from another country. That might be different. If you're coming from within the continental United States, I think you're okay. And for all of you guys that have had acupuncture with your transfers, thank you for allowing me. It's been an honor, and I hope it's helped you on your journey because it is a journey. Life is a journey, and I don't, not to say I'm a tool, but I'm kind of a tool. You guys are the brains behind it. You just pick up things along the way that help you get to where you want to go, and some of you choose to do acupuncture. So the honor's all mine. So here's a good question. It's how does acupuncture help with egg retrieval? Well, a few ways. Acupuncture is really good at helping move energy, move chi, and move blood, right? And so if we are moving chi and blood, fluid tends to move with it. And so sometimes with egg retrievals, you can have a little bit of fluid retention afterwards. And if unchecked, it can become quite painful and possibly lead to a overstimulation. So what acupuncture does is it helps move blood and fluid and chi so you get everything moving so nothing accumulates. So if there is some fluid, it can dissipate back into the system quite readily and quite effectively as well. So I do encourage people to have acupuncture um, after or right before the retrieval. It's not as common as on the day of their transfer, but for women that have had problems with hyperstimulation or fluid accumulation in the past during a retrieval, I do encourage you to incorporate some acupuncture into that. We can do it on the day of, we can do it the day before or a couple days after. But I do encourage you, and if you are going to do it, come see me because I can actually um, I can't do things with needles that other people can't do, but I can actually approach it from a different angle that will benefit you a little bit more. So, call me directly or email directly if you're having issues with fluid retention or discomfort and pain after your retrieval. And, my email's there. And I apologize for the squinting. You want to see the glasses? Ta-da. I can see so much better now, though. I apologize. This keeps bumping ahead, so I'm trying to go back and see a bunch of these. So there's some questions on testing, more questions on meds, and questions on loss. And, all those are very good questions and they all have very good answers, but I just cannot, I really can't answer those questions, really, in all honesty, because I'm afraid I would give you the wrong answers, and I don't want to do that. That would be horrible. And so, um, Once again, I'm going to do my best to pull some out. I would like to get a transfer nurse on just for some simple questions and answers. I would like to get the andrology department here. I'd like to get the embryology department here, and is whomever I can. If I could possibly get an interview with the Dalai Lama or the Pope, that would be amazing, but probably not. But I'm going to try to get some people on to answer some questions. I can't wear the glasses. I can, but I can't. All right. So there's a couple good questions. There's some questions about the magnets and morning sickness, and they are out there. Some people have success with them. Some people don't have success. It's nothing better than acupuncture, right? So. All right. So there's some questions on herbs. We do a lot of herbs. We do herbs for many reasons. We do a lot of herbs specifically for conditions, say a diagnosis such as PCOS. That's what we spend a lot of time on with our herbs and our herbalists. So if your acupuncturist has you on an herb formula, depending on what that formula is, some of the formulas have 4 or 5 different names. So depending on what that formula is, just follow the recommendations of your herbalist or your acupuncturist. And on the day, if you come here for a transfer, on the day of that transfer, bring that formula and we will look at it and give you our assessment of it as well. Okay. Now, if you want to have acupuncture here, it's really easy. Call our office, call the front desk. You can call the Healing Arts. It's all one number, I believe, but you can call the Healing Arts and schedule with us. Most women have acupuncture on the day of their embryo transfer. So when you know when your transfer is, it might not be until the day before, but when you know when it is, or your IUI, call us. Now, I am here for you. So if you're too busy or you can't get through to us, just come and you can still get acupuncture, okay? Don't feel as if you cannot get it because you couldn't get through and schedule an appointment. If you can't get through, doesn't matter, just come and we'll see you. Again, thyroid is a complex question, complex issue. It controls everything, right? So that's definitely a question for the nurse or for a nurse, and I'll do my best to get somebody on. But you know what? We're here all the time, and there's always a phone number, and there's always a phone that's open. I hope I got to everybody's. Mostly there was a couple questions in regards to day of retrieval and medications that I really can't get to. Like if you want to hang out and have tea, we could talk about stuff all day, but I can't really get into it. But I know people that can. A couple late questions coming in. So there's a question about cost in regard, and that's a good question. Um, on the day of embryo transfer, there is one fee for two appointments. So you'll have acupuncture right before your embryo transfer and right after your embryo transfer. Um, and that fee, I believe, is $70. It's been $70 for a while. It hasn't gone up, and so we can pretty much count on that price. So it's 2 for 1 essentially on that day. Now, if you're having acupuncture anytime outside of that transfer day, it's generally $70 per person. And so we keep it like that as well. Now, if you're having issues like we talked about earlier, with issues surrounding retrieval, post retrieval, where you have discomfort and or fluid retention, then it's we adjust that fee to make it a little bit easier for everybody. So it's not so compounding throughout the whole cycle with acupuncture fees. So there's one last question about failed cycles and who to chat with. And I always recommend, and I'm not, I'll probably catch some grief for this, but you're worth it. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And I know everyone knows what that means, but if you feel as if your questions aren't being answered and you just have further questions and you need more review, call, ask to talk to one of the doctors, ask to talk to the nurses, have a second, have a third, fourth consult, go over your issues again and again and again. Every day I tell everyone, I tell you guys, take control of it. This is your journey. You have say in the matter. There will be a time when you will know when the time is to stop treatment and to carry on with your life. And you will know when that time is. But if it's not the right time, it's not the right time. So squeak, be the squeaky wheel, talk to people, make 7 phone calls, whatever it takes. The one thing I can add to this is that in nature, I've said it before, if every follicle that was produced turned into a living, breathing creature, the earth couldn't sustain it. It would be overrun, And I think the seahorse produces 10,000 eggs, and only 100 become seahorses. So the way nature is that it provides more than it can really. Let me rephrase that. Nature is quite a creature. It will. Not everything is going to be perfect, right? And nothing is perfect in this world. There's no such thing as a straight line. So it's quite common for your body to produce more follicles than it actually that would actually become viable. Somewhere in there's a paper, a study on why that is, and I could probably dig and find it. But remember, you can be very healthy, very fertile, and not produce a viable follicle, a viable egg. And that's just nature in its purest form. Or, you'll retrieve, 15 and you'll end up with 4 that are viable. But I guarantee you nothing goes to waste in nature. All that life force, all that essence and jing that we've talked about has just been funneled into those remaining embryos. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted on Earth. Everything goes back to the soil. Everything goes back to energy. It's so it's though you may have had an unsuccessful cycle, in you is very in you somewhere are very viable follicles, very viable eggs. So keep that in mind. that's the, in a perfect world where everything is free and you can do as much as you want all the time, you could literally go, 3, 4, 5, even 6 cycles before you finally get to that magic egg, magic embryo. And it's that's the gamble in all of this, is that sometimes it takes a little longer than we'd like, and we have to remember that. So, and that's why they say wait a year to before you're really considered having issues with fertility. Wait a year of solid trying, because it can literally take 12 cycles before you get that right one, that perfect one. And so keep that in mind. So when the time is right, you'll know when the time is right to stop. And but until then, if you are having questions and you're engaged in all of this, then keep pedal to the metal. You keep talking to people, you keep asking, and get that squeaky wheel answered. And pace yourself, right? You don't want to burn out on it, but pace yourself, and that requires some breathing exercises, some meditation, some yoga, some massage, some downtime, alone time, and so keep that in mind. And I wish I had all of your answers, but I don't. Let's see. So one last question was, how many times would we do acupuncture before a retrieval? That really varies from person to person. So if you're stimming well and you're happy with that, your count is good and you're feeling good, then once a week is fine. But if you find that you're not stimming the way you want to be stimming, or the way that um, the potential your body has, we haven't brought that to the front, then it is possible you could come in twice a week. So I know every acupuncturist is a little different, and they will treat you as they see fit. Here we treat you once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on where you're at and how you're feeling. So it varies from acupuncturist to acupuncturist. But if everything's good and you're feeling good, then once a week is enough, I would say. All right, you guys. Thank you. I am going to work on getting some people here with me, and or maybe I can just talk them into doing their own, right? I mean, wouldn't that be better? And but we're going to answer some of your questions, and they're all very important questions. And I wish I could just, I wish we were all just kind of, I wish it was a different world and we could just sit around all together and hang out, chit chat. Um, but until then, I'll do my best to get some people here, and we'll be going back to the organ systems next week and how it affects fertility, amongst other things. And so, if you have more questions, write them down and save them, and then ask me next week. I will try to do both next week. I'll try to answer questions and chit chat. I think that's the way to go. I've just been talking, and I really haven't been answering questions, and it kind of got to me. So I hope I can answer some of your questions. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. It's gonna snow here tonight, but we're strong. I'll see you in May. Okay. Good night.